Hey guys, this is Matt with Titan Terrain Studio for another Sunday night hangout. Let me go ahead and get everything set up real quick. Make sure my toolbox is in place so that I can actually see what you guys are commenting on. Sorry about last week. I literally could not hardly breathe, and talking would have been very difficult. So. Alright. Comment tracker is in place. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started then. I'm going to go close out this and make sure Skype is currently off so I don't get interrupted. Looks like we have 3 viewers at the moment, but I'm just going to go ahead and get started. By the way, for those who saw the update the other day, my eyebrow right here, the glue finally came off, so I've got a nice little scar right there from where I got busted in the head. You can see that. It's pretty bad. I actually got one of the things that hit me in the head too, because we basically have these rollers at my other job. So this isn't the exact one, but this is what smacked me right in the head. It came from 10 feet down, just cracked me right in the side of the noggin. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm doing here is I'll show you the Plast craft. This is slowly coming to a close, slowly because life has been very difficult in the last week or so. But to give you an idea, I've gone ahead and blended all these panels. These are all a nice dark purple color. I'm actually going to close this window shade because the sunlight seems to be throwing off my camera quite a bit. Let's see that. This other one is doing it as well, so I'll close that one too. There we go. That's a little bit better. Now we can get the window shade to stay closed. Alright. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I went through and I blended all these airbrushing takes forever, by the way. I'm still learning a lot with airbrushing, so that's why this is really taking so long. I spent maybe 7 hours doing the purple and blending it in and making it look right. I also had to go back over it when I was blending it. I went back over with the deep midnight blue, which is the base coat for the whole model. The dioxide purple. These are Americana paints. They're made by Deco Art. But just getting it to where there was not like bright splotches. Here's an example. Actually, you can see the bottom part of my airbrush. If you go too heavily with this color, it becomes almost more of a pink when it dries. So blending all that was very important. I'll show you some of the ones that I've finished the metal work on, which is what I'm doing now. Let's grab this guy right here. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've given it this sort of degraded, older metal look to it, almost like the coloration is just paint that has been slowly worn down with time. And the plan with that is I'm going to finish that up while I'm doing this, and then we're going to go through with another metal, which, let me see, where's my metal paints? Where are my metal paints? Oh, they're all sitting under here. I've stacked up all of the balconies, so I'll just get those out of the way. I've got some metal paints over here. Moss Pearl, Silver Sage, was it, I think? Yeah, so these I'm going to use for highlighting, just to hit some areas that might be a slightly brighter metal. And then I'm going to do some washes of sort of an orangish color, probably a brownish color. Where is it? Oh, there it is! This Royal Ruby. I think I'm going to try this to see if I can get some interesting sort of copper effects for the wires. There's one more. There's one more. Oh, these are the greens I'm going to be using for the OSL and glow effects on various parts. That is going to be like these hexagonal designs that you can see right here. And right there. Those things are all over the place. Like all the pieces have them in there. And those things are going to be glowing this greenish. This one is a yellow green and a citron green. They're going to be glowing that when I get to that point. That'll be the easy part comparatively to the rest of the set. Let's see, what else was it? I know I'm missing one color that I'd planned on using. It was a I will have to find it later, but it's essentially like a rust color. I'm going to do some washes and some dry brushes to show where the rust is on all this stuff. Wow, that is really bright today for some reason. It's not focusing very well. My camera's been a little weird the last few days, so just have to bear with me. There we go. All right, well, let's see. 3 viewers. What is everyone up to tonight? Something else I got. Orcs data cards. I like this, actually. I really like the fact that they're now releasing, because apparently the other data cards are out of print, but they're just going to start releasing like faction-specific ones. Because I mean, for me, that's perfect, because it's like all I care about is the orc stuff. So I got these. I haven't gotten the codex yet. I'm waiting to get the 2-player starter box, which just saw that on Bell of Lost Souls. It seems it's going to be Space Wolves versus Orcs, which means I'm not going to be selling either side of the miniatures because I've always wanted to start Space Wolves, and this is a good excuse. The Orcs, I can always use more Orcs. It'll be new sculpts to mess with. Got like a ton of the Assault on Blackreach war bosses just lying around anyway. So I plan on getting that as soon as it comes out, and I'll go ahead and order the Orc Codex with that as well. I haven't done it yet, mostly because I haven't really had a lot of time to play, which will be changing shortly. We've got some things cooking that will make it a lot easier for me to prioritize my time when it comes to actually getting to play some games. So, what is everybody working on tonight or in general lately while I go through here and do this and talk to myself? Let's see. Actually, what I'll go ahead and do also is I'll go ahead and share this on the... I shared it on everything earlier, but I'll go ahead and share that I am live on the Facebooks. Okay, so I'll go ahead and make sure everyone knows that we are currently live. I got started a few minutes early, so we might have some stragglers coming in. Might be a little slow with the comments at first. But in that case, I will just talk to myself until comments come in. So, things that have been going on. We got a very large project in, deposited in the other day. It is for a game store based out of New Jersey. If anybody is from New Jersey, you may have heard of the Bearded Dragon. It's a game store up in New Jersey that did a rather large commission of 3 game tables. These 3 game tables come with full Games Workshop Realms of Battle. The thing I like about them most, which, by the way, as you can see, I'm just hitting the edges to kind of bring them out. This brush is a little rough at the moment, though. Sometimes what happens, one of the things with terrain that I've noticed is I only buy cheap brushes. And the reason I buy cheap brushes is because with the dry brushing and with everything else, you end up killing a brush by the time you're done with the project usually. It sucks, yeah, you know, because you really like how a brush, when you get a good brush, it's like, oh yeah, a good brush. But they wear out pretty quickly. I've tried using slightly higher quality brushes too, and they don't last. It doesn't matter really what kind of brushes you use with terrain, because you have to be so rough with it sometimes because of some like large surface areas. Like with this, what I'm doing, is I'm doing a stippling effect to kind of pick out the lines where the panels are at. Trying not to hit the actual line in the same direction that it's going, because then that leaves the recesses the color I want it to be, but it hits the surface areas. So like for instance right there, that makes the panel line pop out a lot more. But yeah, the bearded dragon. I actually had done a quote for them back in like February, and then what happened was that they had a sinkhole appear in their parking lot, and they weren't able to get the project done. But we were able to go ahead and get the quote through because, you know, they got their sinkhole fixed and got their finances in order, which is cool. They got in on the first of our game store discounts. So if you know a game store, we'll be rolling that out for them here shortly. And it is a desert board, a snowboard. No, not a desert board. They didn't do the desert board. We changed that. It's a forest board, a jungle board, and a snowboard. Complete artistic license. What's really cool about it is that they wanted both sci-fi elements and fantasy elements. So we've got some pieces that can be used for both. And then there's going to be exclusive pieces for sci-fi and exclusive pieces for fantasy. If somebody could comment and let me know that the commenter is working, that way I'm not just sitting here looking at the screen. Because you can never tell if it works. Like I see, it says Titan Terrain Studio. I'm assuming that's where I actually started the... Oh, we got 5 viewers. Looks like people are rolling in. Awesome. Yeah, I started a little early. I decided I wanted to work. But yeah, one of the really cool things is on top of all the all 3 boards getting full realms of battle, will be customized and everything, is they even wanted to give me artistic license on a castle. Which, you know, artistic license is one of my favorite things because, hey, I get to do whatever I want with it, you know. I like doing projects where I get kind of complete artistic control of how the piece turns out. Because sometimes you have a really good concept for terrain, and you're really excited about it, and then you get all sorts of stipulations that are, like it has to be this size, it has to fit into this, it has to fit into that, these have to, you know, have these things in there. And those aren't bad, but for me, artistic license lets me cut loose and not have to worry about instructions as much, and that just lets me focus a little bit more on the actual artistic part of it. So an artistic license castle, which I decided after talking with them, I'm settling on Kane's Castle from the Legacy of Kane video game series. Watching, listening to you, as well as looking at WoW Paladin cosplay outfits. Oh, cosplay outfits, yeah. I actually went, this is weird, 4th of July, I went out on a date. I'm talking about that. That's a thing, because that doesn't happen to me. I got asked out by this really, really cute girl who invited me to an 80s, 90s costume party. And for anybody who has added me on Facebook, I dressed up as Spike from Buffy, just without the, with, you know, a beard and not blonde hair. Of course, with this, I kind of do look like Spike a little bit more now. We were joking that my Khal Drogo look is now intensified by the fact that I have an eyebrow scar. But yeah, cosplay, very cool stuff. I have not done cosplay in years. Once upon a time, I built a Gundam suit when I was right out of college. Went to an anime con. It was the only anime con I've ever been to. It was pretty fun. But yeah, cosplay is something I would like to get back into at a later point when I have time for it. So, what is everybody's opinion of 7th edition 40K? Go. I've not actually played it yet. I've talked with people, and so far I'm hearing good reviews. My only thing I'm not excited about is the fact that if it's getting really good reviews, that means we're likely to be on a 2-year release schedule from now on. Which is more of a financial gripe, but hey, at this point, you know, money in 40K is water under the bridge. I mean, that game is just, ooh, you're going to spend a lot. But yeah, so, Gothic, Legacy of Kain, Vampire Castle. That's what I'm going to be building for that. That project's going to be a little bit. Let's see. I'll be doing some Space Hulk casting tonight because while I'm painting this, once I'm off the webcast for the night, I'll start doing casting while painting, and then watching or listening to Pandora, something like that. Not watching Pandora. I think about watching Netflix, but now that I think about it, I'll be too all over the place to watch Netflix while working. So, good example. It's not very difficult to do this. You're just basically breaking up the surface area, making it look more interesting. Now, not underneath. You know, underneath, we don't really care what it looks like underneath because it's going to be sitting on something. I'm also doing the interior, and the reason why is even though 90% of the time you will not see the interior, it's for those times that you will, and that's that extra step that we take with it. Because who wants to open up a really cool-looking building and it's all black inside? Because that's not cool in my opinion. You gotta pay attention to the small details as well as the big ones. Now, one of the things I like about this technique is that as long as you do the paint strokes carefully, you can actually make it look like chipped metal for the most part. I mean, if you look at like any orc paint job, for instance, how they'll like paint the whole model and then they'll go over it with some metal to make it look like the paint is scraping away. That's kind of the approach to this. All right, so there's that. And this set really has been rather huge. I will say that. This is a lot of buildings. I'm really excited to play Infinity on this. This is going to be so much fun to play on. Let me grab some of the containers that I've already dry brushed as well to give you an idea of how they turned out. The metal really accentuates the purple and the gray because it kind of ties it all together. Because the purple's really strong without the metal. But when you throw the metal in there, it kind of dulls it down a bit, which is a good thing. It makes the purple subtle, and that's what I really like about it. Because if you look here, same effect. It kind of all blends together. When you're just looking at it from, here's an example. If you look at this one, the purple's very out there for the most part. I mean, it's still pretty striking. It's pretty out there, but it kind of stands against the gray really hard, so it just creates a nice gradient, which I like. Alright, let's grab these and put them over there. So, yeah, one of the things I'll be doing also is Middenheim. That's getting done this month. I'm going to be the Space Hulk set casting can be done while I'm doing other projects because it's a pretty simple process. I actually do not know if I'm going to get into, like, I got the table set up, which a friend of mine purchased for me. So it's not like a regular client. He's a friend of mine that I knew from Blue Table. And I honestly don't know. I've got to look at how much work goes into the casting, because I've been looking at it and looking at a lot of things I would like to do and just managing my time better recently. Because I'll be honest with you, that's sometimes a challenging thing, is juggling all the different balls. Oh, holy crap! All the comments flooded in. Oh, okay, let's see. Hello from Australia, from Christopher Sawyer. Must watch now. Yes, you must watch now. Let's see. My response to the 7th edition question mirrors yours. That's how I feel about it. It is, I'm hearing good things about 7th edition. I'm liking some of the things that I'm hearing. The data cards, just from looking through them, I like the idea that it's no longer wait till turn 5 and grab objectives and you're done. I like that. I really do. It makes the game more dynamic. It makes it more interesting, in my opinion. I also like that there's going to be faction-specific ones. That's really cool. Let's see. Strike of Craze is different. This is something I do now. I feel like I need to have a British accent when I do it. I don't know. That's not a British accent. That's me having something in my mouth on top. Psychic phase is different, but the new narrative objectives make the game fun. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm going to be making my Necrons a priority very soon because they're more painted than my orcs right now. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to put battle reports up unless it's painted. Play it painted, guys. Play it painted. I haven't played things unless they're painted, which, oh, my Eldorado is staring at me. You know what? Here, I'm going to show you this. I actually did get all of my Eldorado assembled while I was sick last week. So there's all my lost right there. And then here are all of my Kickstarter models. Sorry, my hand's a little shaky. Let me stabilize that. So that is an Immortal starter set and a bunch of demons and a bunch of Kickstarter models for Eldorado. A bunch of Succubi, Traveler, a bunch of exclusives. Really cool stuff. I'm really excited to be getting back into Eldorado. I demoed it the other night for a friend of mine. I was feeling a little restless, but let's see. 40K 7th is still my go-to beer and pretzels game. Warhammer Hordes for competitive play. Yeah, I agree there. I think Warhammer Hordes is built much better for competitive play because it's more balanced. But 40K at the end of the day is really good to have a couple beers with and go, hey, I have this huge army of stuff. I want to fight your huge army of stuff. Then we go buy more stuff. What is your all's opinion of Space Wolves being the loyalist army for the starter set? Because everyone was talking about it being Blood Angels forever, which I was okay with, but I was just of the mindset that I don't really like Blood Angels. I don't ever plan on playing them, so I was just going to sell them off and keep the orcs. Because now that I saw the Space Wolves depending on what's in there, you know, I might get that and start up a Space Wolf chapter. Or I might at least hold on to it and do it at a later point. Because, quite frankly, from a financial standpoint, there's no way I'll be buying hardbacks for 40K anymore. I bought the 6th edition one. I was really excited. I was like, hey, new edition. I've got the money. I'm going to go buy the 6th edition. I went and bought it. Then, life happened, and I moved out to Utah, and I was working at BTP, and, I didn't really get a lot of opportunities to play. Well, not necessarily opportunities, but my desire to play 40K kind of died out for a little bit. And then 7th edition rolls around, and I'm sitting here going, I got this big fancy hardback. I don't think I'm ever going to do that again. It's still a good book to read for the fluff, but I just want the rules. That's really just what I want. I figure everyone should buy at least one hardback once because, the fluff is amazing. I mean, I could still sit down, it's still mine. I could still sit down with the 6th edition book, and I could still enjoy the fluff when it was still called Imperial Guard and not Astra Militarum. Oh, that was so hilarious. Ooh, there's something I've been having an idea about lately. I like role-playing games. I love war games. But, quite frankly, let me be frank here. I don't really get a lot of time to do RPGs anymore because I'm busy, doing the wargame thing all the time. I'm trying to work on projects, and then I have to kind of prioritize my time. But I've been thinking lately, how can I do both and have fun with it? So I'm honestly thinking, you all tell me what you think of this, of putting together at some point in the future here soon a web series of a small little group of people getting together and playing one of the 40K RPGs. Think of it like Will Wheaton's Tabletop. I know he's been talking about doing a... They did the funding for the new season of Tabletop, and I can't remember, I'll have to check later, but they were wanting to do an RPG version where you film RPGs. But I would love the idea of doing one of the 40K RPGs as a web series, just recording the adventures of some small band of, and I'm going to say it, Only War, the Imperial Guard game. That's my favorite one. And the reason why is because I feel like 40K is so over the top that one of the best ways to be able to include everything, yet not have it like throw the game off horribly, is to play Imperial Guardsmen. Because you're going to have the most easy time sort of thinking along those lines. How would you think in that situation? Because if you're like, 10,000-year-old Chaos Space Marine that was during the Horus Heresy, blah 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 blah, corrupted by chaos. That's cool and all, but it's kind of hard to wrap your head around that mentally, and it's also, do we really want to play bad guys? Some groups do. Not all groups like it, and not all people like watching that kind of stuff. So I'm sitting here thinking it'd be really cool because I've read the Only War book, and you get to create your own platoon world, or you can take one of the established ones. They even have Death Corps of Krieg in there, which is really cool. Let's see. And I just like the idea of running that because you can play like heavy gunners, psychers, commissars, Ogren, Ratlings, all these different things. I really like the Imperial Guard fluff. I just I do not have any desire to play them as an army because I already have one Horde army. I don't want to have to spend all sorts of money on a second Horde army. This is a habit you pick up from guys at BTP. We always have paint on our hand because it lets us get a little bit of the excess off from the dry brush. It's a good way to control where it's at. And it's probably not just a BTP thing, but it's where I picked it up from. Let's see. No, Blood Angels forever. Christopher Sawyer. Blood Angels are cool. Don't get me wrong. I like Blood Angels. I actually, before moving out to Utah, I was doing a little bit of like painting commission on the side at my game store, and my friend Mike Bartlett, shout out to Mike if he ever watches this, which I doubt he will because he's very busy and married, and that tends to take up a lot of his time. But he was doing an Imperial Guard, Blood Angels, Allied Army. So I was actually in the process of painting them all up, and they looked pretty good. I was painting mostly tanks. I painted a squad of guardsmen with a commissar, and then I painted a stand-in for Dante. Or was it Dante? I can't remember which character it was. It wasn't Dante. It was one of the characters. The one with the, what is it called? No, it was an Imperial Guard character. Never mind, I forgot. The one from the, what is it called? Talaran Raiders. That's what they're called. Yeah. It was I can't remember the name of the hero, but I know he was the Talaran Raider hero from the Imperial Guard Codex. I converted one of those up using Blood Angel parts and a Vestorian. Kind of had like a Darth Vader look going on. And painted up a bunch of his tanks. I got to paint up a Forge World tank. That was fun. It was the one with the big gun. Like it's got a big heavy turret on the back of the Chimera chassis, and it's got this huge freaking cannon on it. And that was fun as heck to paint. I really enjoyed painting Mike's stuff, and I need to get back in contact with him. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll see if he wants to send stuff out for me to paint for fun, because that's how I roll with my friends. But let's see, Blood Angels. Yeah, Blood Angels are cool. They give me a hell of a time in 6th edition at times. I know, I'm saying that because I'm a horrible player at times. I didn't play nearly as much 6th edition. 5th edition, I knew it by heart. I could play Necrons or Orcs. Necrons sucked because we didn't have the new codex, but I knew 5th edition by heart. But then 6th edition came out, and I just didn't get enough time to practice. As a Space Wolf player, I think I will be just fine with that decision. Yeah, I mean, I like Space Wolves. I've always liked Space Wolves. I always said to myself, if I started a Space Marine chapter, it would be Space Wolves, because they're Vikings, and I'm kind of a little bit of a Viking myself in some ways. That ancestry that goes back to Scandinavia and Ireland, Scotland, so a little bit of everything right there in the European. The 6th edition book is gorgeous, but such a heavy book to cart around the games. I will agree. I will agree with that. And I will say that for people that are not book-oriented like myself, the idea of being able to just get it digitally is kind of an awesome thing. What I don't like is that it's priced, like, isn't it like priced the same amount? It's just, come on, guys. You could lower it a little bit, still get a profit out of it. It's a digital product. It's not like you have to stock it. That's my take on that. It's like, what is it going for? $85 for for 6th or 7th edition right now. You know, we're gonna look this up. I want to know this now. I have not looked at GW's digital stuff in a while, and I'm gonna look this up right now since we are on the topic. All right, Games Workshop. I want to see how much 7th edition is going for digitally, or if it's even up. It should be up. I would think so, at least. Codex and supplements. Minotaurium. Let's see. Digital edition. Warhammer 40k data slates. Codex and supplements. It's not going to be under Codex and supplements, I would think. They're organizational stuff. Okay. Ebook. Oh! Well, hot diggity. Guess what, guys? It is currently $60 US for the 7th edition rulebook digital, which is $85 for it hardback. You know what? You know what, Games Workshop? I will say this: that's still a lot of money, but at least you're realizing, you know, lower the price a little bit if it's not a physical product. I don't think they did that before, but they did now, and that makes me a little happy inside. All right, so let's see. But yeah, 40k is gonna still be something we get back into. That's the thing that this is doing. Like orcs. Orcs were my favorite army. I love Necrons. Don't get me wrong. I have a ton of Necrons. I've had many a game with Necrons that have been really, really fun. We're gonna switch brushes here. That one's a little too small, a little too rough. One thing I found also with this type of paint, especially with terrain, you tend to kill the brush a lot more because of the fact that you're doing such larger areas. So it's not like with, you know, say a bunch of drop the brush. It's not, say, like with well, I mean, if you did batches of like 150 guys at a time, I could see this happening. But if you're doing like a squad of 10 guys and you're doing dry brushes, you're probably going to wash your brush out a little bit more often than others. Whereas with this, you know, going through and dry brushing all of these, it's going to take a while. I was actually, before my date on the 4th, I was in here for 4 or 5 hours doing all the dry brushing, watching The Big Lebowski. I actually almost didn't dress up as Spike. I almost dressed up as the dude. But, you know, I looked at my closet and realized I had all the stuff to do a Spike outfit, and she was more impressed with that anyway. So. Oh, she's going to love that I was talking about her date on my channel. Yeah, I've got the whole, you know, hey, nice date look on my face. Alright, but Orcs has me very excited because I just love Orcs. The only thing I don't like about the new models coming out, I don't like the shock attack gun. Because I've got the old shock attack gun. The one, not the old one, no, not like the one that's just this tiny little dude holding up a big, you know, vacuum cleaner. I'm talking the one from the 4th, 5th edition release. The metal one that was, because I got Orcs right when they came out, at the tail end of 4th edition, and that has been one of my go-tos in my Orc army ever since, is the shock attack gun. And I just don't like the plastic clamshell one. It does not jive with me very well. Oh, by the way, shout out Terrain Incorporated. If you have not seen our live show, you can see the first one we did last month. It's in the playlist on the main page of my channel. Go check it out. We are going to be doing another episode of it next week, next Sunday. So, like I said before, that will take precedent over this live show. We are going to be hanging out, talking about all sorts of cool stuff. Viv from Rubbish In, Rubbish Out. If you've not checked out his channel, I'm going to put a link below. But he's going to be on there. Viv is really cool. I've chatted with him for quite a few years. I've followed his stuff for quite a few years. And he's going to be joining us as our guest. Chung was on the last one. We're basically going to have sort of like a rotating guest, at least for every one of them. You know, obviously, if people are really busy and they don't have the time to join us, then it'll just be me, Bill, and Mel hanging out doing stuff. But this coming next week, we will be doing topics like video game themes. We're each going to pick a video game and tell everyone how we would design a board or set for said game. If you want to find out which one I'm picking, you should tune in next week. The event is already up. I just need to post it to everything. Didn't want to spam everybody with multiple events today. Okay, so there's that one. External is done. So we'll go on the internal now. I'm really excited to do this battle report on these because we got Deep Cut Studios did send us that battle map, and we're going to use that battle map in our first battle report. These will stand out really nicely because, let's see. Have you tried using your airbrush rather than the dry brush? The thing about it is that the airbrush doesn't get the chipped effect that I'm going for. With this, like, let me show you an example right here. Well, let me see if okay, there you go. The rough looking edge of it actually is what I'm aiming for. I'm trying to make it look like everything's been, like, scraped up or scratched up over time. Because if you've ever owned any metal equipment that has a paint job on it, or a car, for instance, you get all sorts of rust and you get all sorts of chips in the paint. And it's really good to use the airbrush. But I actually did try using the airbrush on one of these. You see if I can grab the one I did it on. Is it that one? No, it's not that one. Ah, there it is. So this was actually the test model I used for the whole thing. And I've actually got to go back and clean it up a little. But if you look right here, this is what the airbrush produced. It's too solid. It's not gradiated enough. And it generally just turned out not the way I intended. Now, I'm going to go back and fix that on this one. Because, like I said, that's the test model. But airbrushing for this particular instance did not achieve the effect I was trying to go for. Let's see. So, something else I'll also be working on tonight is when I get done with the painting of this and switch over to the casting, I'll be painting up this. It's a Clipsos Infiltrator with a sniper rifle. I should have had this done a while back, but when you get hit in the head and go to the hospital, mild concussion, and blood pouring down the side of your face, that tends to put things on the back burner for a little bit. But I'm fine now. I'm actually in the process also. I will be having to take a little bit of time off towards the end of the month because I'm going to be having eye surgery. That's something that's going to happen, but that's going to be really cool. So I'll be able to see better. I'm really excited to see better. I have an astigmatism in one eye that is greater than the other, and I also have some eye surface problems that I'm going to be getting taken care of as well. I'm really excited though because it means I'll be able to focus for longer periods of time, and I'll be able to work for longer periods of time in my studio. General fatigue will no longer be a problem with me, and that is always a good thing. So let's see. All right, so I'm going to ask everybody a question. Let's see, what question am I going to ask? See, I'm coming up with things to talk about. I'm trying to get you all involved in the conversation. 7th edition armies that you would like to see come out. Now, we're already hearing rumors about, we already know Space Wolves is probably going to be a thing. If it's a starter set, it's probably going to be next. Orcs are already out. Let's see. Who do we want to see come out next? That's what I want to say. You know who I honestly want to see? Let's see. Sisters of Battle. I've been hearing rumors about that. I think I saw like a thing. I want to see Sisters of Battle be one of the next 3 armies to come out for 7th edition. To be honest with you, if they come out with Sisters of Battle and it looks cool enough, I might, just, pull my wallet out and throw it at the frickin' screen. Because Sisters were always something I really loved the concept for. I played the heck out of them in the Dawn of War video games. But I never got into them for the same reason I never got into Grey Knights back in the day. And, Grey Knights is still something I would like to get into. there's a few armies that I really would like to get into for 40K, but as we all know, disposable income and all that jazz. Well, I am working on some options, some interesting ways I might be able to still get that going in the future. Stay tuned for that. We're talking about doing some cool stuff to get some more studio battle reports ramping out for you guys. Just gotta get it all secured first. 6 viewers. Jeremy, are you out there tonight? You're usually out there, but I don't know if you're out there tonight. Say yay or nay if you are. Let's see. Christopher Sawyer, Grim JD, the JMG 2011. Well, there's 3 right there. So that means we've got 3 mystery people that are watching me and have not commented yet. That's the whole point of these hangouts, guys, is just jump in with a comment, a question, anything. If you want to comment on the fact that, you know, I have a long beard, or if you want to comment on the fact that, you know, I have a Space Marine poster, I don't care. Oh yeah, I plan on playing through that. I never actually finished the video game. I really enjoyed the heck out of it, though. It was really fun, and I plan on doing it again. Oh, something to tell you guys. This is why that date went so well. I told her about War Machine and Hordes because she's really into steampunk. And we're just going to keep that between us. But yeah, War Machine and Hordes. I am actually going to get my Legion painted up soon. It's like halfway painted right now. I've just not had the time to sit down with it. They're my next painting project after I get this Calypsos Infiltrator painted. But I'm going to get them painted up. I picked up some more stuff for them. I picked up a, what's it called? Not a shredder. It's the other ones. The Stingers and then the Harriers. I've got packs of those now. I think for the most part my Legion list is ready to rock. Running Thargosh Prime. Though I really like the Epic Thargosh model better. That's going to be painting up those soon. Legion of Everblight are going to be painted in Skyrim themed colors. So there's another building completely done. See, the only ones I've got left here at this point are these 5 small ones, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big ones. That's huge. I can't wait to actually put it out on the table, which I plan on doing probably on Tuesday. Tuesday I go for my pre-op. So I'm not actually going to be able to do much on Tuesday. Because my eyes, I'll be all like anime eyes, with, you know, dilated and everything. So until that dilation wears off, I won't be able to do much. Yeah, my surgery is the 17th also, so I'm trying to get a lot of work caught up and done before then, because I have a feeling that's going to lay me up for a few days. So I'm kind of working like a madman right now to try and get all these projects really ahead. So let's see. Trying to think of subject matter to go over. We're about half hour into this one. To be honest with you, we could make this longer than an hour if we wanted to, as long as conversation keeps going. Because I've got plenty of painting to do and none of it's airbrushing. That was another reason for deciding not to do last week's show. I had a lot of airbrushing to do, and that compressor is loud. Sisters of Battle would be a risk for GW. The Raging Heroes Toughest Girls in the Galaxy Kickstarter will be out soon. I have not heard of this whatsoever, but I like the sound of it. I will Google that. Oh, there's Jeremy. There he is. So, Raging Heroes Toughest Girl. Alright, someone has my attention, so let's find out what that is. I'm going to have to type it in because I don't have to copy paste. Alright, let's find out what he is talking about. Raging Heroes. Toughest Girl in the Galaxy. I personally don't think Sisters of Battle will be hard thing for them to do. I don't think it'll be much of a risk myself, but I am curious to see what this is you reference. On my painting table is Retribution of Syra and Peritus and some griffins for my vivs list. I've not played any Retribution, and to be honest with you, other than Tutor, Retribution, it does look pretty cool. I still haven't really done anything with my Tutor. I put together my Commandant Iris and sitting on my living room table. But I haven't really done anything with them because I've been putting money towards like conventions. I'm not 100% certain if this is going to be a thing, but I'm currently talking with Feasts of Blades about running some stuff there. That's really going to be kind of the make or break whether or not I'm at Feast of Blades, to be honest, because Adepticon is kind of a priority for me. I want to be at Adepticon no matter what. So depending on if I decide to run anything at Feast of Blades, I've already decided I'm not going to have a booth there because we don't really currently have any products or anything that justifies a booth. Let's see. Raging Heroes actually has a new Kickstarter soon with Darkkin and Sisters of Eternal Mercy. It'll pretty much be a model-for-model account as Sister of the Battle. Oh, okay. I see what you mean now. So you're talking about more of like, do they want to do it because it could just shunt money to their competitors? Well, frankly, at this point, if you have seen high-tech miniature stuff, if you've seen anybody else that's producing, GW compatible sculpts, that's just, nature of the business at this point. But this stuff, the toughest girl of the galaxy, looks pretty cool actually. Let's look at their main page. I'm going to see if I can't. I'm going to close Skype first. It still didn't close for some stupid reason. Close Skype. All right, let's do the screen share. Ah, there we go. Start screen share. All right, so this is Toughest Girls of the Galaxy, Raging Heroes. I'm liking it so far. The sculpts look pretty nice. The artwork looks nice. Let's see. Ooh. The Grimbreaker, leader of the Jailbirds, Raven. Ooh, these are pretty cool. Harry the Hippo, the Jailbirds mascot. Really? That's Charlie. Charlie. He's like a pit bull with a Napoleon hat. That's friggin' awesome. Jinx reminds me of this one. Reminds me of the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, the computer game. Wow, these are pretty cool. I don't think this is really going to give Sisters of Battle a run for their money though, because I mean these are cool looking female sculpts, which you don't see a lot of. Like this could be interesting. This would be a really good alternate sculpt for a female commissar for the Death Corps of Krieg. But let's scroll down and see if there's anything else. Ooh, that's like a Rocketeer. It's like a female Rocketeer with jetpack from hell. I think this would honestly, I don't like female werewolf. That's cool. Another female werewolf. Epic female werewolf. Jeez, it's just like female werewolves getting steadily more crazy looking. Oh, now that's neat. Iron Empire Combat Trike. That looks cool. No, I think a lot of these will make really good alternate sculpts, but I don't particularly see anything that really is going to compete with Sisters of Battle unless people are just concerned with female models. If that's all we're talking, then I don't think people will really. Oh, here we go. The Soul Weavers could potentially work for Sisters of Battle alts. Because they kind of have a look and the symbol's similar to the Inquisition. So they could make good stand-ins depending on what's in the codex if they do that. That looks interesting. Cyber Zombie Bodyguard. It kind of reminds me of the assassins from the Inquisition. That's pretty cool. Major Severna Madison. And we've got those. Yeah, some of these later sculpts look like they could work quite nicely. Those are straight up like lightning claws. Those are just, yeah. That right there kind of screams Dark Eldar to me. That one, the Necro Priestess. Troops. Yeah, I could see these being useful, but we're going to go ahead and stop looking at that now. Turn the screen share off. All right. Okay, so that's very interesting. But at the end of the day, Sisters of Battle, if they do a good job on the sculpts, I think they will still have people flocking to buy them, because Sisters are just kind of a cool faction in general. They just have some of the most old sculpts that you could possibly imagine. Like, I think that what is it called? The tank with like the built-in organ into it. That one is a pretty old sculpt. I think that one goes back to 3rd edition. I could be wrong. But I would like to see Sisters of Battle get a revamp. I think they're one of the only codexes at this point that is sitting on like a 10 years plus. They've managed to update all of them. I remember Dark Eldar was in the pit for a while there. I remember Adam from Tabletop Minions talked about the fact that Black Templars got jutted into the Space Marine Codex. That was a little upsetting. But I would like to see all of the armies that haven't gotten an update get an update first before anything else in 7th edition. Of course, at the end of the day, it's also going to be about what sells. I really was excited that I heard about, when Orcs came out. Mega Knobs, totally going to be getting Mega Knobs. I have wanted to run Mega Knobs for so long, but I did not want to drop $10 a knob for a Mega Knob unit. And I just never got around to converting one. My original plan was to take Black Orcs and convert them up, which is not an uncommon conversion. I actually talked to Mason at DTP the other day. We were hanging out and talking about the new Orc Codex and generally just wogging because... Oh, fitness challenge, yeah. So I told everyone on the Grayskull update on Wednesday, but Andrew just reminded me. Andrew is involved in the fitness challenge. He's also involved in fitness in general, and he's purchased some workout programs. And Andrew has decided to throw this out there to the community, and I'll post about that on my weigh-in on Wednesday. He's going to give away some, after the challenge, he's going to give away some of those programs to people who complete their stuff to kind of help them keep up with it after. Because, the challenge is a good motivator, but the really hard part is going to be after the challenge. I mean, we could be looking like Thor or Captain America or the Hulk. We could just be all, buff and, in good shape. But then we just go right back to our old habits again. And we'll just lose all that. So it's supposed to be an encouragement to people to continue with it, and it'll help them stay on track. So thank you for reminding me about that, Andrew. He commented because I completely forgot to talk about it. I was very busy this afternoon with some business-related things. So what are you up to today? Ooh, eight viewers. That's a bit different. We got a lot of viewers on our Terrain Inc. video, which actually I didn't finish talking about that. Terrain Incorporated. We are going to be talking about video game themes next week. We're going to be talking about we've got our new monthly subject is going to be we name a theme and you have a budget and you're supposed to creatively make a table under that budget for the theme. So we're going to do that. I don't remember exactly what the theme for next week is going to be, but then we're also going to talk about what our particular specialties are. Like Bill Foreman, the Terrainaholic, was talking about, on the last hangout, he's really known for Eldar terrain. Viv, I think, is he's known for his this is just from what I've seen. I've not watched all of Viv's videos. What I've seen, he does really awesome dystopian wars terrain, like the water stuff. He does really good stuff on that. Mel is doing really cool stuff with. If you've not checked out Mel's channel, the Terrain Tutor, go check it out. He is text message. Okay. Sorry about that. But Mel has he does all sorts of stuff. Like, he just does neat little projects. And one of the things I like lately that he's been doing is the Mantic charity terrain. That's really cool. I really just need to sit down one day this week, and I need to whip out those objective markers and get them out on the block, because I need to get those to the client so that he can get those to the charity raffle for the Ultramarines Help for Heroes charity. This week's going to be a lot of heavy work, a lot of updates this week, because I did not get a lot done last week. Because, you know, injuries suck like that. I spent like 3 hours in the ER, I think. It's just three hours wasted, in my opinion. It's 3 hours sitting there going, oh, yay. Yeah. So, alright, we're going to go off topic here for a minute. What's the worst injury and longest time you've ever had to spend in the ER? That was not the longest for me. The longest for me was when I broke this finger when I was a kid, got slammed in a car door. I spent something like, it was on Halloween night, so you know that place was packed with all sorts of screaming children. I wasn't screaming, well, in the ER, I was screaming when my hand got slammed, because it was like 9 at the time and it hurt like hell. But that was I think we spent like something like 5 or 6 hours in the ER. That was the longest time I've ever spent in the ER for something. I've spent time with people in the ER for other reasons, like friends who did stupid things and I had to suddenly rush them to the hospital. We all know those people. Okay, so we've talked about orcs. We've talked about 7th edition 40K. We've talked about competitiveness versus for fun play. Let's talk about games that you want to get into in the future that are not part of like the really big games like War Machine and 40K or Games Workshop games in general. I personally really want to start playing Dust Tactics at some point. I like the sculpts that they do. I like the little robots, and it's something I really want to get into one day. My biggest challenge, honestly, is finding people who want to play these games, because that's kind of the plunge I took with Helldorado, and it's always been a bit of a challenge. I had a pretty solid Helldorado scene coming together when I moved, so I had a couple of people I was starting to teach how to play. And now that I've gotten all my Helldorado stuff put together and unpacked, and I actually have everything set up just the way I want it, I can start doing that again out here, trying to build up a Helldorado scene. So if you're local in Utah and you want to learn how to play, just hit me up and I'll teach you how. Wild Chevy, actually, on the Beast of Wars forums, we found out when I was posting all the Gray Skull Fitness Challenge stuff that he's like an hour north of me. Sitting here going, we're going to get together for a game day at some point in the future. He plays Infinity, so, you know, someone to play Infinity with. I'm sitting here, come down. If you are in the area or if you want to come out and hang out one day, just let me know ahead of time. I will figure out a way to make it happen. All about hanging out with people and chatting about games. I will say I do enjoy these hangouts because it makes me have to think and keep my mouth running. Yeah, it's a good way to stay motivated to work. So yeah, this is it's not hard, this technique that I'm doing. It's a stippling technique. I mean, it ends up looking like that. Dust Tactics Warfare. Oh. Andrew McCall, my pleasure. Looking forward to getting this thing soaring. Anything I can do to help is always a pleasure for me. I did a body beast workout today. Google it. I will have to Google that. I actually I was at the warehouse doing a shift last night, and I got back from my break and I grabbed some protein shakes at the gas station. And I've started doing this thing even if I don't actually spend time in the gym at work, because we have a gym there. Where I just, even at the very tail end of my break, I'll just run in and I'll do a quick 60 seconds on dips, pull-ups. I'll do a bench press of whatever's on there as long as it's not super heavy. And then what was the last one? Oh, and then just some the curl bar. And I'll do that really fast, all in 60 seconds, just to get my heart pumping and push my muscles a little bit. Because sometimes, depending on the department they have me in, you think you'll attend Valhalla next year? I don't know. It's kind of going to be up in the air. Valhalla is this year. It's a little bit farther away than it has been. In the past, it was up near Heber in Utah. Heber's about an 45-minute to an hour drive, which is not terrible. I mean, I go up to Salt Lake occasionally anyway, and that's about the same distance. But the new location, I don't remember exactly where it's at, but I know I looked it up on Google one time, and it's like 3 hours away. And it's just going to depend on some things. I'd like to go. I would love to be able to come down for at least a day and chill out, but I do not know if I will have the time. Because there's a lot of things that I'm working on with being able to attend conventions and such. Web store is kind of a big priority at the moment, trying to get that all worked up and worked out. I'm going to be starting to design some stuff in the future for some pre-generated designs for terrain. Not necessarily like the foam terrain. I mean, more like stuff like kind of like this. You know, the MDF laser cut stuff. That's something I'm wanting to work out, and that takes a lot of time and energy and effort. So let's see, just tactics warfare. But yeah, the web store is something I'm working out currently. My ideal plans is to be able to put up a couple of sets of terrain for various usage in the next 6 months, I'd say. We want to get the web store up, and then we'll have some pretty simple terrain sets up there as well, with the whole click to commission setup. You'll be able to go on there, and you'll just be able to go, I want this, go build it for me, and you can buy it. It just makes life a little bit easier, because then you don't have to worry about us getting a hold of us, and because I do my best to stay up on emails, but sometimes it takes me a day or two to get back to someone, because I'm kind of doing this on my own right now. Robbie's just doing photography at this point because he has a lot of other things going on. He'll come in and he'll do photography with me, and then he'll play a game occasionally. For the most part, that's pretty much what we're doing at this point. Still involved, still very involved with decisions we make. It's mostly me doing the studio work these days. He's also been working back at BTP a lot too, because summertime is not a busy time for his teaching stuff. So let's see. Infinity armies. How many Infinity players we got in the house? I'm excited to have this done and play some Infinity on it. I will say, this stuff is pretty flexible, so I can bounce it around pretty easily, and it doesn't really fall apart. I've got a couple of breaks, but it's honestly more like these little end pieces that are held on by very little in the first place. Those are about the only ones that give me trouble. And they were just a simple glue back on job. Let's see here. Been going for about an hour, it looks like. So we've got 8 viewers at the moment. Alright, so I'll talk about details that I'm going to start picking out on this. And to be honest with you, what I can do is I can take a small break from I'll finish this last one that I'm on. I'll take a small break to actually start working up one of them in some more detail. I tend to kind of take the, do one step at a time across everything, recipe mode. But we can skip that to work up some more details. I kind of need to have a test model. It's always good to test out a paint scheme, especially on terrain, unless it's something you've done a lot. Like if I'm just putting together 40K ruins, I already know how to do that pretty easily. This is kind of flexing my painting skills a little bit because I'm trying new stuff I haven't really tried before. Going for this whole weathered industrial look. Really cool. Just about done with this one. Now, something I do want to put together soon is that set from Mini Wargaming Day. I'm hitting the head, kind of put me behind a little bit, so it's going to be slightly delayed while I get everything caught up. Alright, so there's all those outside bits there. Do this inside again. Now, admittedly, inside I do to a certain degree, but I don't do it quite so perfectly because you will not see it very much. Alright, so let's switch gears for a minute. We're going to switch gears. We're going to start picking out some details. I'm just going to grab one of these. Let's see. I'm not going to grab one of the storage containers. What we're going to grab is we're going to grab one of the buildings, one of the ones that I've modded, because that's going to be the one that is going to give the best test result. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this rooftop. Now I don't play Infinity, but we'd like to start a Eugene army. Any advice where to start? Okay, Eugene army. Let's see. We're going to go on the Infinity website. Prepare yourselves for another screen share. All right, so screen share is up. Infinity, the game. Factions, Eugene. That popped up pretty easily. That's Hakkasan. There's Eugene. All right, so what you want to do with this is you really just want to start with a starter pack. And let me zoom these out real quick. All right, so I don't really know much about Eugene's, like the actual units and what they're able to do. I haven't actually faced Eugene that much, but you want to start with a starter pack of some sort. And let's see, like they have the Japanese sectorial army. Here's the thing you should know about Infinity. Sectorial armies are, think of them as like sub-factions. So there's the Japanese sectorial army. If you look that up and you like the look of it, then that's also a good one. Starter pack Eugene. This would be a good starting point. So it comes with 2 Zanshis, a Shangji, a Celestial Guard, 3 Zanshis, and a Domaru. Goes for 36.95 euros, which is roughly about 50 bucks, I think. Yep, $50.20 US. So this is a good starting point, I think, for anyone, is to just grab a starter pack and go from there. At that point, what I would do is I would start looking at some of these multi-unit or multi-model packs, because like these, I found that the multi-model packs tend to be something that's pretty useful and good for the price. Once you get to the point where you start knowing that's so that's $37. So I would start out, once you start getting to the point where you know what you like in the game and what you don't like, then you can start looking through here and picking out different ones. Because you'll see a lot of these guys are also alternate sculpts for other things that might have equipment. Like for, like the Clipsos Infiltrator. I already have a Clipsos Infiltrator, but this one is modeled with a sniper rifle. So I would just, for my personal opinion, pick up a starter pack, and then also pick up some other pack of models that you just think looks cool. Because that's going to be, what's going to motivate you to want to play. You'll learn the game in time. It's just like any game. Always go with what you think looks cool. That's my personal opinion right there. So we're going to turn the screen share off on that now that I've kind of showed you a little bit. Nope. There we go. So yeah, there you go. That would be my advice. That is not necessarily the best advice if you're going for like gameplay, but if you're going just for you know, advice from me on how I start armies, that's where I go with. Because I'll start off with just buying some cool stuff. You know, I'll be like, ooh, that looks neat. And then once I actually start learning the game, then I'll start going, well, these kind of suck. These are kind of awesome. I get those. I get different things for different reasons. So. All right, so let's start off with picking out some of the details. The biggest detail that I've noticed on these are these little bolts in the corners. You can see them right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to base coat those. Just start going through and do those on this particular one. So we're going to do the same color. We're just going to cover them. This is that. Get a little bit of the excess off there. I'm just going to kind of cover them up a little bit there. I'm going a little heavier on them into the crevice because I am going to end up doing a wash, so I want them to pop out a little bit. The reason why is when I do the rust wash, I want the rust to kind of seep down into the crevices a little bit. Kind of make it look like these have sat out in the weather and the elements for some time. Okay, now that's pretty simple. That's nothing complex. It's just picking those out. We'll let that dry for a minute. I'm going to go through and do the same thing on this. Ultimately, these are test models, so I think it's the little details also that will make something pop out very nicely in terrain, in my opinion. You gotta have some subtle details, but then you also have to have some eye poppers. Originally I had thought about making these holes look like they were still hot, but I decided against that. I'm just gonna make them very rusted and very pitted. Not pitted. Why did I say pitted? They're gonna look like if you've ever seen a car that has cracked paint. Over time, the rust eats through those cracks and just rusts it from internally. That's kind of the effect I'm going to go for. Okay. Now, I didn't do those quite perfectly, but that's all right because the rust effect will tie it all together quite nicely. Working on my Blood Angels army currently. The latest rumors say that Space Wolves will be next. Yes, Andrew, we were having a huge conversation about that earlier. My Infinity models are painted. Yes, my Infinity models are painted except for this one Calypsos Infiltrator. You can see I did a video a while back, and I've added some models since then. But I currently, for my Toha, I have the starter pack, the expanded Kamel Infantry. I have the Gorgos tag. I have the Choxa Auxiliaries. I've got Calypsos Infiltrators. I've got, what else am I thinking of? Galrails. I've pretty much got everything except for one or two models in the whole faction at this point. So I really like Toha, especially my whole Sith Lord paint scheme that I've done for them. It's really fun faction to play. I love the expression on people's face when they don't have fire ammunition and they have to kill my guys twice. Though most people that I play against are more skilled at me than in the game, so they figure a way around it pretty quickly, and I end up losing a lot. But that's what practice is for. That's the one thing I need to start doing more of, is playing more games. I'm gonna start finding the time to play more games. I'm just gonna go around and finish these bolts. I'm still not quite certain which one of the factions I want to start as my second Infinity faction, because one of the things I do plan on doing, always, is when I get into a new game, we will have 2 studio armies for it, because I'm a firm believer that you want to have a varied experience with each army. I've got Orcs and Necrons for 40k. I'll go ahead and list out what I have just for those people who may not know. Orcs and Necrons for 40k, Warriors of Chaos for Warhammer Fantasy, and I've also got Skaven for them, though the Skaven are not nearly even close to done. Neither really the Warriors of Chaos either, but you know, at least I have some of them assembled. War Machine, I have my Manoth army and starting my Khador army. Hordes, I have Legion of Everblight. I'm still not certain what I want to start for Hordes as my secondary army. I've thought about doing Circle, just because I like Circle, but at the same time, I've also thought about doing Trollbloods. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, Trollbloods is probably what I want to do for my second Hordes army. Okay, so we'll let that dry, and we'll go over here. So, first thing we're going to do here is we're going to experiment for a second. I've not actually tried a wash with this particular color, so we're going to find out how this works out. So this is that Royal Ruby. It's kind of a reddish, bronzish metal color. Let's scroll a little bit out there. That's how it shows up on the, let's see, there it is right there. It's kind of like a slightly deeper bronze color with a slight tinge of red into it. Let me grab a suitable dry brush for a smaller amount. Let's try creating a small wash with this. Or small wash. So Christopher likes the tag and the bikers. Yeah, the tags are pretty cool in Infinity. One of my favorite aspects of the game. Ooh, that looks nice. Now the thing about this is, anytime I do a wash, and then obviously you've got to see how it is dry. Now this is a metallic wash, so I'm not entirely certain if it'll get the effect I want it to have. But we're going to give it a shot and see. Because at the end of the day, this is metal that it's going on to. So, alright, that was a little bit too much wash. Soak up a little bit of that. But it actually does seem to be achieving a neat effect that I'm liking. So, let me just apply it in these other areas, and we'll let that dry and come back to it. Okay, so I'm not going to tip it too hard. As you can see, I've put those onto the crevices right there. I'm actually going to run it a little bit along this edge as well to see how it looks in this outer line, because that could actually... I've watered it down quite a bit, so we'll see how this turns out. This could end up becoming a very nice looking little effect. And here's the other cool thing. Because I'm experimenting like this, does not necessarily mean that that has to be the only step. We can also add a non-metallic color wash in there. Because, I mean, there's already kind of a heavy metallic feel to everything already. So it's not going to hurt us to have a metallic wash in there for one test model. Let's put that in there. See how much of this turns out the way we want it to. Okay. So you see kind of like what we're aiming for right there. Got that. Now it's got to dry, and then might have to dry brush over it again. We'll have to wait and see. 9 viewers. Viewership is going up. Let me see what it was that somebody text messaged me just a minute ago. Okay, sorry about that. I'll answer that later. All right, so that wash does seem to be doing something interesting to it. It's kind of darkening it a little bit, kind of giving it a slightly rusted look to it. I know what it is. It kind of makes it look a little bit like a copper penny. That's what it is. It makes it look a little bit like a copper penny. But at the same time, I'm not entirely fond of the fact that the copper, it's still a little too metallic is the problem. So what we're going to do, let's look for a good wash color. I keep all my paints right down here next to me on the desk. Let's look for a wash color to create a nice effect. That's Emperor's Gold. Don't want that. Canyon Orange could work, but let's look up some stuff real quick. I'm just gonna, and here's the other thing. Google is your friend. Let's see. Rust Effects Wash Miniatures. It's always nice to look up painting heavy rust. So I'm going to do a screen share and we're going to look at this. This seems to be on the Privateer Press. Privateer Press forum. There's the stippling effect. We could do something like that. I might try that as well. Tips for rusted weapons. Oh, cool mini or not? Here we go. Just because I would like to see if there's some alternate ways to do a good rust effect. There's an idea. Do we want to do the green rust as well? That could work out quite nicely. The miniature looks very nice. Kind of gives it a little bit of a super rusted look to it. In this case, where we're going to have green as an OSL effect, I do not think it's a good idea to do the green tinge to the rust, because the rust is more of like it's not copper oxidization. I think it's either copper or bronze that rusts like that. It's more of just, you know, exposure rust. All right, so what I think we're going to do here at this point, now that I've kind of taken a quick Google, it's always something useful I like to do, is to double check other people's techniques. You never know what you can look at what someone else is doing and see how it will play into it. So this, the Canyon Orange is going to make a good highlight in my opinion, but we're going to want to meet in the middle a little bit and use a brown of some sort. Oh, there's the worn penny I was looking for earlier. So worn penny is also, it's a metallic, but that'll be useful for other things. Let's see. There's all the other stuff. Looking for my browns. Dark chocolate is a little too dark in my opinion for rust. We're looking for sort of a reddish brown, which seems to have around here somewhere. Let's see. We could do terracotta and canyon orange. Let's try it. Let's see how that works out. Just do a tiny little bit of the terracotta. Yep. So let's get a little bit of that right there. Just do a slight wash over top of the mess that we've put in already. Now I think that we're cooking with grease now, because this is creating already a pretty nice contrast with the rest of it. And I think by just letting it travel on its own down there and kind of water itself out, that'll help a lot too. So if you just check that out, it's already creating a nice sort of dirty contrast with that. And, you know, put a couple of dry brushes on top of it to help with the effect. I think this will work just nicely. I'm still going to experiment with the orange over top of it in areas to see if I can't get a nice in-between to create some variations of the rust. So let's take that and place that there. You know, upon further reflection, I don't think I'm going to use the Royal Ruby as a wash on anything else. It creates too much of a contrast, in my opinion, against the other metal, because it is glittery, like, you know, the dazzling metallics. All of them are like that. The dark patina is the metal I've been using for this. It's sort of like an off bluish metal. Give you an idea of what the coloration is. It's not quite like a pure silver. I'll still go over and highlight with the silver sage, which is more of a pure silver. And there's this moss purple that I might use on particular details and make them stand out, like buttons and stuff like that. But I think we've figured out a good little bit of something. And then I'll use the canyon orange. I know how I'm going to use that now, just by putting a little bit of a wash in there. See, you can already tell where it started to dry. Check that out. It's kind of got a dirty rust look to it, like water has gotten down in the crevices, which logically, on a flat surface like this that has an engraved crevice like that, that would act kind of like as a panel differential, you're going to have water seep down in that if it's raining a lot. Or even just crap is going to accumulate in the crevice, because if you've got winds kicking dust everywhere, let's say you're in a desert, and it's kicking dust and kicking dust and kicking dust, it's going to catch on that separation between the panels right there, and it's going to get down in there. And then over time, you know, when it does rain, that's going to make it all nasty. It's going to make it muddy. It's going to make it dirty. So it's not necessarily just rust. It's also dirt. It's also grime. It's various things. Now, taking this same idea, what we'll end up doing, we won't end up filling all the panel differences here, because that same idea doesn't make sense when you're hitting just a side area like that. It makes sense when it's on top like this, because it can settle, you know, when the rain. Going to prime a model, Dr. Surgeon. Have fun, Dr. Surgeon. Hand Cannon Online has a rust weathering article. Might be worth a look. Yes, we'll take a look at that. But let me finish my line of thought first. My line of thought on this is that when it hits the side, it's still going to do that effect, but it's not going to be necessarily just in the crevices, because, you know, it'll hit it, and it might have areas that it'll catch, but when water's involved, it'll start to flow a little bit. So what we'll have like streams of rust coming down, where maybe it's flowing out of areas, or maybe it's flowing and hitting areas and sliding down. So like these bottom edges right here might be heavily rusted. Same thing for the very bottoms where it's touching the actual ground. These bottom edges are going to be very rusted as well. And then these, I've already decided now, after seeing how this turned out with contrast with the rest of it, I'm going to do a base coat of Royal Ruby on all the wires, and then I'm going to do a dry brush of Warm Penny, and then I will apply the same rust effect in very limited amounts to the wires to make it look like the wires are even starting to rust. And that's going to make it look really, really neat, in my opinion. Now, something else, once I get done with all the rust effects that will be really cool, is when we start doing all the OSL, the green OSL. This is a very Invader Zim themed color scheme. You can see right here where I've added these. Now they pop out really nicely because when I was in the process of dry brushing. These are essentially like areas where the container is leaking. The hexagonal thing will be, you know, glowy and OSL, as I stated before. And then you've got this hole where there seems to be like some sort of corrosive stuff leaking out. This particular one will have an OSL on it because it's supposed to look like there is something radioactive inside it coming out. The idea I've got is the whole place is powered by some sort of radiation. And the radiation is what keeps all the lights on and everything. And even like areas where you see like the piping, which I didn't really get to add a lot of because the The models did not lend themselves well to that idea, so that was one idea I had to toss out the window, as it were. But I'm going to have a lot of the OSL, and then I'm going to have this radioactive sludge stuff. I'm probably actually even going to make a couple of little like sludge pits just to add to the set, just to kind of tie all together with it. Some sludge pits, add some crates, add some other stuff, like tinier things that are more of like permanent static terrain. So that way I can have them sitting around the table along with it. So that way, you know, you have a bunch of buildings sitting together, and then you might have a big, huge area where radiation has just completely degraded this particular spot and it's seeped in. Maybe it's where they dumped all the toxic waste, stuff like that. So anyway, we have been going for about an hour and a half, but at this point, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a night for this show for tonight. Well, first, let's take a look at that hand cannon online rust effect that Christopher Sawyer was talking about. So let me do this. All right. So screen share is up. Hand cannon online. So let's see. Let's look for rust effects. Be hobby content, basing, basic, advanced. I'm guessing rust effects would probably be advanced. Now let's do rust. Let's just search for rust. Just check this out and see where it goes. Weathering rust. All right, let's take a look at here. Oh, look, they're even rust. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's very nicely done. That's kind of the effect we're going for, just on a lesser degree. We don't want something that looks like it's completely abandoned and rusted over. We just want the buildings to look like they are starting to show that they're approaching that point where maintenance needs to be a bigger issue or they need to replace them. So the base coat is the first step. Roughing up the model. To get a more aged look and represent areas where the rust has eaten into the metal, I use my Dremel to scratch up and thin the plastic. Okay, so I've already done something similar to that with the holes that I've put in various places. Remember, the more you do, the older the model will look. So in that regard, I have done that step when I was prepping the models, because of the fact that we're trying to have targeted rust in areas where it's damaged and just in areas where the plating is. Sophisticated Finishes is a line of products that uses metallic paint and an antiquing solution to create some really nice aged effects for all different types of metals. For this project, I'm using the iron metallic paint and the rusting solution. Okay, I have not actually looked into rust pigments yet. It's something I plan on looking into. For now, I'm just doing it with paint. But Austin from Brush for Hire did a video on how to basically create pigment powders on a budget, and that's something I'm planning on doing soon. But you can find that on his channel, Brush for Hire, which you should know more than you know me, probably, because he's a lot more been around a lot longer than I have with his studio. Masking. Once the iron metallic paint is completely dry, and I mean completely, then you can move on to the masking step. Now this could actually prove useful. I might head to Walmart in a moment and grab some blue tack, because blue tack could I could blue tack some areas and then have them rusted up, and that would make it a little easier to do that. Well, maybe not for this project, because now that I'm seeing what he used the masking for, this would be very useful in like an orc junkyard. Which, by the way, if you're an orc player, I would love to get an orc terrain set coming in at some point here in the near future. That would be really fun. Finishing up and blending it all together. Yeah, this article is actually really good. It's not necessarily what I'm aiming for. I don't want it to be this rusted, but I think it could work well in general. So, did that even show? Did I just talk to myself the whole time, or didn't the screen share actually share? Oh well. Well, we will find out later. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. Thank you for joining me for this past hour and a half, those of you who have watched. We've got a bigger viewership than we did before, so that's awesome. Stay tuned next week. Terrain Incorporated WGC live show that I will be hosting with myself, Terrainaholic, and the Terrain Tutor, and our special guest, Viv from Rubbish In, Rubbish Out. Check them out. Check out their channels. They got cool stuff going on. Oh, and something else cool. If you are a fan of Terrainaholic and you watch his live show that he does on Mondays, you'll be talking about something that he's going to be sending me that's going to be really fun. And I'm just going to leave you with 2 words as the final little bit before I stop the broadcast. Warlord Titan. See you guys later.